so years, and more aggressively the last. So a second agent. So two, my left, and in fairness to them. Now I'm going to talk to you about a rebel, a person who is interested in telling you the truth and is amazing. She is a rebel in the fight against the Matrix to keep us awoke and seeing and learning the truth. Her name is Krystal Ball. She has a TV show called Breaking Points, and she is absolutely amazing. She's super knowledgeable. Now, the only thing I don't like about her is she calls herself a lefty, right? I don't like that because once you choose a team, it's hard for you to be objective and tell the truth. But this particular person will call out everybody who's full of shit on the left, right, middle, everywhere. She has a show called Breaking Points with a right-wing guy named Ingenti or something like that. And that provides some balance to the show, but I trust her because I have a video that it's a video that highlights how you vote for someone or how you choose someone to lead you. Well, one of the first point in that is, does the person actually believe what they're telling you? And I am certain she absolutely believes what she is telling us. Krystal Ball, I'm going to play a little bit of her for you so you can see that she is a killer. She don't mess around, and you can trust the information that she provides for you. Okay, so this is her destroying Bill Maher's newly found centrist center-right self on his own show. So let us play this clip.
This inflationary problem is because we put too much money into the economy. There's way too much government spending, and that's why we have inflation. So that's a large part of that. It's just basic economics. And
that is not basic economics. We had this thing called a pandemic. We had a supply chain crisis, and by the way, there's a war in Ukraine.
It's played a role.
So to act like the only reason we have problems now is because people got a little bit of money in their bank account is just not honest.
And a little bit of money, they got more than we spent in World War II. So don't act like
Hold on.
Don't act like, you said don't act. Don't act like we had to react to the pandemic exactly the way we did. We had to spend $6 trillion.
Okay, but how about the trillions that the Federal Reserve shot at Wall Street? For some reason, people don't get upset about that.
How much did you say?
Fueled the trillions of dollars the Federal Reserve shot at Wall Street to backstop the stock market and the bond market. No one gets upset about that, even though that was a massive
I don't know what
factor in
you're talking
inflation.
about. What do you mean shot at Wall Street? When are we talking about?
We're talking about buying assets, buying stocks, buying bonds, buying treasury bills so that they expand the balance sheet. This is during the crisis, the coronavirus crisis. When the stock market crashed, that is what the Fed did. They went into action. They shot trillions of dollars.
But the stock market didn't crash during COVID.
Now it's crashing. It's crashing now.
It crashed, and the Fed came in and backstopped it. That's what happened.
It crashed and we never heard about it?
No, it crashed. Go back and look at it. It fell off a cliff. The Treasury bond market stopped functioning, and the Fed took extraordinary action it's never taken in history.
Somehow
no one gets upset.
The first week of
Somehow nobody gets upset about the rich people who got tons of money and tons of support, way more than working class people did. But oh my God, people were able to feed their kids and they had a little bit of money in their bank accounts. It was the worst thing in the world. That is one small part of the inflation story, and is, by the way, not the only thing that we can deal with to get out of this mess.
Well, gas prices.
Biden has
is it a small part, Jamie?
Gas prices we can largely attribute to an administration that's been waging war on the fossil fuel industry.
That's ridiculous.
And now
they drilled more than everybody. I mean,
that's a talking point.
U.S. production.
No.
Okay, U.S. production is up. It will be at record levels next year.
Okay, well,
the fossil fuel companies themselves are flush with cash, but will not invest in new drilling because they would rather give it to their shareholders.
Okay, all right,
That's the truth. So there's a lot going on.
Very stressful.
It
also,
is
the stock market crashed in March of 2020. Like what? What are you talking
about? Those people. So I'm gonna highlight another video where she destroys this dumbass right wing. She probably ends her career. Her name is Tommy Lauren, and Krystal Ball absolutely murks the hell out of this chick, and she had no business being anywhere near a television screen anyway. So let me pull this up for you.
They're just farmers. It's bullshit, and you know it's bullshit. But what's weird to me is Democrats will go out of
It's
your
weird
way.
to me that you just accept whatever this administration says, but they lie all the time.
Krystal Ball of Breaking Points was a guest on Tommy Lauren's show to talk about a whole host of topics. They talked for about 48 minutes. You can watch the entire thing on Tommy Lauren's channel. I wanted to share a couple of clips that I thought were the most interesting. So we're going to take a look at these clips of Krystal Ball debating with MAGA commentator Tommy Lauren. I want to share my thoughts on this as well. Let's check it out together.
When Pam Bondi came out and said,
when Trump came out and said the exact same thing and said, you're not allowed to criticize me.
No, he did not say that.
Speech.
He never said that. He said, we're cracking down on Antifa and domestic terrorists. Do you not?
You can look it up.
I guess I would ask you this. Do you not think that Antifa and their tactics, which I've seen firsthand, do you not think Antifa and the things that they pull, particularly in places like Seattle and Portland, do you not see that as domestic terrorism?
I think crime is crime and should be dealt with as such. But in the same way that I objected to the mass surveillance of the Bush administration and the expansion of the terror state apparatus that has occurred ever since then, I vociferously object to this attempt to use Palantir to surveil everything that all of us say for wrongthink. God forbid that we criticize Israel. God forbid that we criticize what ICE is doing. That's the regime that they're putting into place, Tommy. I mean, that's what they are trying to effectuate right now.
Well, I disagree with you on that point, but I don't agree with
because they were the lowest hanging fruit. Yeah, they were the lowest hanging fruit. And now it's coming for American citizens who also, by the way, are being caught up in these immigration raids as well. So this isn't just staying with, the people you might be more comfortable with. This has huge impacts on all of us, and especially as people who make our living through our ability to speak and to say at times provocative things. Like, that's part of the job. And that's exactly what this administration is really trying to go after.
Krystal, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Not that nobody won't be able to say anything, but that they have to think twice. I mean, you mentioned Google and YouTube, and then I'll shut up and let you say the next thing. But they just had to do some, multi-million-dollar settlement and basically pay tribute to the Trump administration because they want to make sure their deals can go through and they get their tax breaks or whatever it is that they want. That's what all of these companies are doing, and we are totally dependent on these big companies.
You are saying that. All this stuff is not that we have the companies that actually came out and said Biden administration pressured us to remove this, this, and that. But you are just assigning that to these companies because you believe
that was reported within Disney. No, that's not true. That was reported about the deliberations with regard to Jimmy Kimmel.
So why
they
is
didn't
he
actually
back
have a problem with what he said.
Because all these Americans now, his ratings are back in the tank.
Because 1.7 million.
Yeah, now the ratings are back in the tank.
People canceled Disney Plus.
Yeah, the ratings are back in the tank. He got that great big boost, and then boom, his audience left again, and they will. And I'm all for him being on air.
Tommy,
I think he should be. I think he should fail on his own.
Watched Jimmy Kimmel in ages. I don't know what he has to say.
Nobody is.
It's fine. Obviously, these are all dinosaur programs that are going to go away eventually. It's about the principle. I stood up where a lot of people during the Biden years that I have no ideological agreement with whatsoever, because it's the principle of protecting free speech, protecting the First Amendment, even the right to say things that are offensive to people, that are provocative, that are outrageous.
And so if
you have a government that is trying to weaponize
all of their agencies to try to chill speech
that's where you
and
lose
coerce the media.
I don't think that they're doing that. Now, I believe in free speech. I don't believe that Kimmel or Colbert were taken off the air because of President Trump. I don't believe you on that. But you're talking about speech, and I agree with you on speech, all right? I believe you should be able to say provocative things. I think that there is a limit when it comes to credible threats. But outside of that, I'm more talking about, you mentioned the National Guard and the troops, and I asked you about Antifa. I'm talking about actions now. I'm not talking about words. I'm talking about actions. When Antifa goes out in the street and they light things on fire, or they're firebombing an ICE facility, things of that nature, do you not think that the National Guard might be helpful in deterring some of that violence, not just to protect the federal agents, but also the federal buildings? And I don't know, maybe make the area a little bit safer for the businesses and others that are operating in that vicinity to be able to carry about their daily business without being antagonized by freaks who consider themselves to be Antifa warriors?
First of all, let's talk a little bit about Antifa. Antifa, as you know, just stands for anti-fascist. I think we should all be anti-fascist. I would suspect that you would view yourself as also being anti-fascist. So Antifa as this like well-organized, well-oiled machine thing is a right-wing fantasy made up and invented out of whole cloth. So let's just put that on there.
I'm so glad.
We got this.
They're not. And local law enforcement has been hamstringed by your Democrats who want everybody to be doing arts and crafts out on the street. And you know that damn well.
That's
they
ridiculous.
Don't prosecute crime,
so
Krystal. They don't
that's
prosecute
so silly,
crime. That's why you have people that have been arrested 36 times
in the city of Portland.
Oh, Portland is just
crime
a fever
reduction
dream.
in the city of Portland. Baltimore, Maryland has the lowest homicide rate right now, on track, lowest
Krystal,
on
would you
record.
go walk around Baltimore
crime is going
at night?
down, so you can't.
Krystal, would you go walk around Baltimore at night by yourself?
I would be fine walking around Baltimore.
I'd love to see it.
Night.
Would you film it
I'm
next
not
time?
afraid of this country.
I need one more video because yeah, she's housing everybody. She's a monster. So you guys can trust her. Whether it's left, right, she's going to steer you in an accurate direction. Okay, so one more video. She's smacking the hell out of Piers Morgan and some other guy. So now she's housing Piers Morgan and Clay Travis, another. But anyway, let's let Krystal handle her business.
The Democrats have just crashed to a new 35-year low in popularity. Trump has just announced a new trade deal with the EU, which is more advantageous to America than the previous deal. Are you prepared to give Trump any credit today?
I will give him credit for humiliating the Europeans effectively. But in terms of delivering for the American people, I mean, remember what we were sold originally? 90 deals in 90 days? How did that work out? And now we're going to have tariffs put on especially key pharmaceuticals coming out of Europe, not to mention European cars. So what you're likely to see is prices go up for your average working class American. So no, for the American people, I think that this is not even close to a win.
And reducing the number of people coming in illegally on the southern border from 10 million in 4 years to, I think it was 6,000 last month. You give him credit for that?
He certainly has cracked down on the border, no doubt about it. But, you know, the cruelty of this immigration system, we're learning more and more about the men who were sent to CCOT with no due process, who were raped and tortured and abused. We're learning more about the conditions in Alligator Alcatraz. I mean, it's a horror show, which is exactly why the American people are revolting against all of his immigration policies across the board, even though that had previously been a strength for him. Well, let me just clear up for your audience. I am not some liberal Democratic sycophant who capes for the Democratic Party and can never give Trump credit. In fact, in his first term, I actually supported the tariffs that he put in place because I thought they made some sort of sense. This term, there is virtually nothing, maybe changing like the pressure on the shower heads, that executive order, that I can get behind. And I'll tell you why, Piers. First of all, his major quote unquote accomplishment at this point is the big, beautiful bill, which will strip healthcare away from millions of people in order to fund a tax cut for the people who need it the least. Second of all, the level of fascistic cruelty with regard to the immigrant population here is more horrifying than I ever could have even anticipated. Deploying the military in American streets, rounding up people at Home Depot, sending them off with no due process to a slave labor camp. Are you kidding me? The idea that this is a peace president, hey, I thought he was going to solve the Ukraine-Russia crisis in a day before he even got into office. That's still ongoing. No changes there. We have backed and funded an absolute campaign of starvation and horror in Gaza, and we started a new war with Iran. So on every single level, this presidency has been a chaotic horror show and a disaster. And the people who will be hurt the most in this country are the very working class people that Trump claimed and lied to support. So I give him an F across the board. And again, I am not some Trump deranged. I've given him credit in the past. I said it was good when he went and talked to the leader of North Korea. I said it was good when he met with the Taliban to try to negotiate a deal. But he never actually had the stones to pull out of Afghanistan. But in any case, he's a disaster this time. I could not in my wildest dreams have imagined how terrible this administration would be and how quickly here only 6 months in.
Mic drop. Anyway, Krystal Ball, Breaking Points. She's fantastic. She's super knowledgeable and she has integrity. We have entered a time where almost no one has maintained integrity. You guys saw I did a video on Joe Rogan last time. He has completely lost all of his integrity, and he had integrity, like literally. Like I was super impressed by his level of integrity early on, but he's lost it. So anyway, Krystal Ball, watch her. She is an agent of the resistance, keeping you informed, keeping you understanding what's really happening. You can trust her. Dan Rather is an agent of the Matrix, trying to keep you blind and keep you believing BS. Love you, people. Have an amazing rest of your week. And like and subscribe, comment if you have comments. Have a good one. Bye.